For decades, UCF student athletes have built something bigger than the game. And long after their collegiate careers, many stay connected to the place that shaped them. 85% of all UCF graduates choose to stay in the state of Florida to build careers, communities, and lasting impact. And right here within UCF Athletics, 25 former student athletes have come full circle, now helping shape the next generation. This is a special Varsity Night series, a look at the people who helped build the foundation of UCF Athletics and never stop investing in what it means to be a Knight. Under the Palms, stories rooted in legacy, purpose, and the culture that continues to move UCF forward.
Sean Beckton, the wide receiver from 87 through 1990. Current associate head coach, receivers coach.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
And I'm Linda Gooch. I am the head coach of the Spirit team right now, and I've been in that position since 1984, and I was a cheerleader here at UCF from 80 to 83, so went right from being on the team to coaching the team the next year.
Awesome. If the walls of the old Wayne Ditch athletic facility could talk, what's one story they'll tell?
Well, I mean, I don't know, Sean. I don't think about one story, but I do think that when I think back on all the work that went in to those two buildings, you know, the people that worked in those two buildings, I think that probably those walls would give some messages. One of the messages, I think, is that I think everybody needs to be so grateful today for the work that people that came before put in, the sacrifices that, you know, a lot of new people might not know about, like the Gene McDowell and, you know, him serving as athletic director and head football coach. The players like the Sean Becktons, those are bricks in the wall, building the foundation of UCF and everything that we're standing on right now. So I think they would probably say, you know, be grateful, because those walls would know how much work went in. And then, you know, probably just to remind everybody that it's all worth it. Like, I hope you feel the same way. Like, when you look back and you think about all the sacrifices that your family's made and that you've made, but you look back and you're like, you know, but it's all been worth it.
Yeah, what I envision about the old Wayne Ditch, I have an opportunity to ride by it every day coming into work. I circle around coming off Alafaya and see the open lot there. It kind of reminds me of where we started the foundation of this athletic department. It's, you know, not necessarily football, but all the other sports were housed in building 38 and 39. That was the foundation of the athletic department. We were right next to each other. It's not disjointed like it used to be, like it is right now, where everybody's kind of spread out. Everybody knew each other as a staff. All the sports used the same training room at that time, so everybody kind of interacted. Being a player, you know, now seeing where we've come, you know, is very special, and we still got a lot of growth potential in this UCF facility, and also in years to come, how we're going to continue to expand over the years.
Yeah, so true. Cool. All right, next one. How do you think your players would describe you differently than how you would describe yourself?
Oh, differently. I hope my players describe me differently. I would think, you know, they would say probably, Coach Beckton, you're probably very humble in everything that you do. They'll probably say that the mentorship that I provided over the years, not just when they were currently on the roster, but the mentorship afterward, when they were done in years, you know, when they start having families and whatnot, still being around in their life. So those are things that, you know, some of the guys have already mentioned to me. You know, one good thing that I have, and the length of time that I've been around this program, I've actually had a chance to coach, you know, some guys kids now.
Amazing.
Jimmy Roberts to be one right now. Currently, I've got both the Henshaw son, Tyson Henshaw, both of his sons, Zach Palmer, the Palmer's, son. So those are the type things, that, for me, it's a blessing to be around some of the guys that I've coached over the years and be able to now coach their children.
I hope you tell them how great their dads were.
Yes,
right?
I do on
They
a
were the
daily
most
basis.
incredible athletes.
On a daily basis, especially Henshaw's, because Tyson was very fearless as a player, and then Mike was very fearless as a linebacker dealing with his son Zach. So it's very important that those guys, hear how well their parents did here and continue to grow in this program. What's a moment at UCF that still makes you emotional when you think about it, Linda?
Well, I don't think I would think emotional like, that would make me teary or anything like that. But certainly my time at UCF has definitely evoked a lot of really big emotions. The thrill of victory and the agonies of defeat.
Been a bunch of those.
Absolutely. And I think that it's definitely those times that you're struggling that make the victory so much sweeter. I definitely think probably just because it involves my husband Alan as well, was the win at Alabama. And it wasn't just that win. It wasn't just beating Alabama. It was kind of like it was another brick in the wall. It was, a power team, a national, well-known program, and to go up there for homecoming and be able to come across with the victory, that was just such a big deal. So I definitely think that was a highlight. In my sport, I would say, certainly the first championship that we won in 2003. The University of Kentucky had won 8 straight national titles, and so 2 generations of college cheerleaders had never known another champion, and so for us to be able to do that was pretty awesome.
Those 2 big breakthrough moments.
They were.
I do still have that. If you go in my office, I have that Alabama plaque. You see a lot of people come in, and that's one of the things I show in my office. Hey, you guys know in 2000 we beat Alabama, and they were, no, I didn't know that.
Love that.
Was a breakthrough for our program, and then you guys beat Kentucky with 8 consecutive championships. That was a breakthrough, for your program, but also a breakthrough for the entire athletic program.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, is it my turn? You've played or coached under 5 out of the 9 total head coaches of UCF football. What's something that you've picked up from them?
Oh, 5? It's been 5? That's a big number, I guess.
5.
Stood the test of time, I guess, over the years. I think you got to always, for me, I have to always start with Gene McDowell. He's just, I don't think the people now currently understand the impact that he made on the athletic department. Being an athletic director and head football coach, when a time when we were scraping peanuts to make an athletic program grow, he does not get enough credit still today. I know he passed away a few years ago, but he, to me, when I think about where we are today, you always got to put his name within the conversation there. And, Mike Kruzik worked for him for a long time. He became the head coach, and a lot of people don't give him enough credit for the gap that he basically filled, when Gene McDowell left and we got called up to be coaches to take over the program. He slid into the head coach and offense coordinator spot. He was actually the head coach that beat Alabama. That's another breakthrough, situation for us. He was a part of that,
Absolutely.
big part of that. George O'Leary, he's, to me, I had a stint with him and then another stint with him coaching DBs and receivers. What he brought to this program, we had the Wayne Dench Gene McDowell, Mike Kruzek got us into the current Wayne Dish now, and then Gene McDowell also helped fundraise to get us into this building. But when George came, we got a chance to expand and come up with revenue to get the indoor facility and then the stadium built. And, me and you, Linda, we've been around through it all, so we've kind of seen how this thing has grown over the years. Those three coaches really, laid the foundation and in consecutive order really got us where we need to be. And now, I've also had an opportunity to coach under Gus Malzahn. He just basically continued to get things going in the right direction. Now, when Coach Frost came in for me, the big difference from the other coaches when Coach Frost got here, just the innovation part of things as far as being on the football field, changing up the jerseys, catered more to the actual fans, the fast-paced offense, those type things, over the years resonate with me with all those head coaches.
It almost feels like each one of those coaches was the man that we needed at the time.
At the current time, most definitely. When you look back on it, most definitely. Then now you got Coach Frost back, and he's going to excel us, into another chapter in this athletic program.
Absolutely.
So, okay, Linda, people only see the championships, which you have many. But what do you think was the hardest part of building a championship culture year in, year after year?
Well, that is so easy. So I started coaching in 1984. And for the first 10 years that I was coaching, I couldn't even get us an invitation to compete in the national championship. You had to send in a skills video back then. And for 10 years, I submitted videos of our team doing certain compulsory skills and got rejection letters for 10 straight years. So, today, in today's world, I would have been long since fired. So I'm just grateful that Gene McDowell and Steve Sloan, our athletic directors, were patient with me. And then I'm also grateful for Coach Sloan because, after that, in 1994, I got him on the phone and I said, "Coach, I've got good news and I've got bad news." And he said, well, give me the good news first. And I said, well, we've finally, after 10 years of trying, we've been invited to compete for the Division I AA at the time, national championship. And he was like, he made over me, so wonderful, and congratulations and all that. And he's like, well, what's the bad news? And I said, well, the bad news is that it's out in San Diego, California, and I need $10,000 to get out there. And so the great lesson there, though, is that he didn't say no. And we had no money, as you know, Sean, back then. $10,000 was $100,000 today. And he didn't say no. He said, well, we're going to have to find a way to get you out there. And he did. I think athletics chipped in 30%. We raised 30%. And then student government helped out. But it was those first 10 years, so many lessons learned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just feel I've been a part of your journey also because Alan is a good friend, a friend of mine. We played basketball together, pick up basketball every day at lunch as coaches. And we were always talking about, your journey and also, how can we continue to grow your program over there, so he's been a vital part, whether you know it or not, but he's done a lot behind the scenes. Encouraging, we've all been in your corner to get this thing where it is right now.
None of this happens without Alan, that's for sure.
Most definitely.
How special has it been to watch Sean Jr.? I know him as Little Sean, but he's not Little Sean anymore.
Oh, he's not Little Sean.
How special has it been to watch Sean Jr.'s journey and see him continue the UCF legacy?
Hey, that one there is a hard one there. He's one of the things, I've been blessed with is my children are both are tremendous. Hats off to Z, my wife. They've done a lot in their lives to get them in the position that they're in right now currently, because of me being a coach and all the hours being away. But one of the things that helped me as a coach was Gene McDowell actually let us bring kids into the building. So Sean was around it a bunch, growing up. Obviously in the off season, he would be in the office running around with the rest of the kids in there. So, funny thing, Alan gave me a picture of Sean sitting on the sideline with Charles Huff and his kids.
Yeah.
When we were playing the spring game one year. I still have that picture. I got to find it now, but that just brought back memories of that actual picture, the times over the years. Or, when he became a player here. Got to tip my hat off to George O'Leary. Invited him as a walk-on, and I said, Coach, I don't need anything. He just needs an opportunity, and I'm not gonna coach him at all. I want him to blend in just like everybody else. But I did coach him quite a bit, particularly on special teams, and treat him just like everybody else. First of all, he was a DB, and then he slid back over to receivers, or vice versa there. But so proud of the man that he's become now. He's got a son now that's Bryce, that we think the world of. And we got another one with Alan also from my daughter. But he has beaten a lot of odds. A lot of people told him he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. What are you going to, you're not going to ever live up to your dad's expectations. And to me, he's exceeded those expectations. All the things that he's done in his career, overcome, a lot of different things. Being a coach's son is always tough, sitting in meetings, your dad's this and this, and, you get preferential treatment. And I don't think anybody said that, but I know guys probably thought that when he was a player, but he took it all in stride, and you would never know anything, happen outside. But everybody loves him. He carries himself well, and, I'm excited what the future holds for him as a strength coach.
It's been so fun to, well, first of all, just to know your whole family, and, to know you and Zorana from before children, and then, and then having little Sean and Zaria.
That's Zaria.
And so, and having Zaria at cheerleading camps over the years.
Yes,
So fun to watch all of that. You and Zorana have done a great job. They're awesome kids.
Thank you very much. Oh, Troy State. When was that? September 17th, 1988. Ooh, a sophomore year. UCF versus Troy State. You remember that game, Linda?
It is one of my proudest moments, but go ahead.
All right. The famed noise penalty game. Both of you were there, of course, obviously. What do you remember most about that day? Then fast forward nearly 30 years later to UCF versus Cincinnati when College Game Day came to campus. Eyes of the college football world were in Orlando. When you think about these two moments side by side, what do you say about the atmosphere created by UCF fans and the incredible growth of UCF program?
That is a long one. But absolutely, that Troy State game was one of my proudest moments. If you're the head coach of the cheerleading team, our goal every game is to create an atmosphere where the other team is having difficulty snapping the ball. And so we want to get the fans involved. So when that happens, and it's only happened to me twice, typically, as you know, Sean, like, if a crowd is getting loud, a coach will call a timeout to kind of, calm them down, or they'll do a quick snap and get the ball, But these two times, and Troy State was, certainly the first. And it has a really fun story about it, where the the quarterback had said that he couldn't hear a couple of different times. And back then, if you can believe it, you probably remember this, they had a delay of game that they could charge against the home team if the fans were too loud.
Right.
And so I guess after about the fourth or fifth time, the official walked over to Gene McDowell. And he was smart like fox a lot of times. They came over to Gene McDowell and said, Coach, we're going to need you to get on the PA system and tell the crowd to calm down, or we're going to give your team a penalty. And he said, we're going to take the penalty.
That's right.
And that was so wise. So, of course, the 30-some thousand people plus that we had in the stadium for that game just went nuts. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that game, Troy State was like the defending national champion that year. So that's what I remember about it. And then, of course, the exact same thing happened college football game day in Cincinnati. Couldn't snap the ball. The fans were so loud. There's no penalty anymore, but it was fun.
Yeah.
What do you remember?
I had the grace to actually play in the game, so I was on the offensive side of the ball, and backdrop to the whole story. The year before, Troy beat us in Troy, so it was kind of like a build up, revenge. They're coming into our place.
Was it in a playoff?
Yes,
on their way. Okay.
So it was a great opportunity for our fans to show their fans, and really support us. And there was one of those another breakthrough moments that we had. Troy was basically ahead of us in the football program, in 1988. But right now, currently, obviously, we're ahead of them. We're in the Big 12. But that was another breakthrough moment. What I can remember is my guy Sean Jefferson and rooting on the guys that were on the bench and grabbed a noise penalty towel and started waving and the rest of the crowd just got up and cheered, and then that kind of set it up for the next time when we got in those situations where third down and they were trying to make a call and make a check and they couldn't hear. So the exciting times. And then the game day, Cincinnati, this place was loud, 3 hours before the game. Just the excitement that the fans brought does remind me a lot of, that time against Troy State. We had 30,000, I believe, as the record at the time for the Citrus Bowl, playing a college football game. That's kind of one of the things that, that sticks out in my mind over the career. That particular game, meant a lot to us as a program.
Another brick on the foundation.
That's right.
What guides you in sticking to your morals and beliefs while coaching these young athletes year after year? And how have you stayed true to that while evolving as a person and a leader?
It's a good question. I think over the years, when you're doing it so long, you learn. One of the things I do sit down every year is evaluate what can I do better as a coach. What can I do and improve, long term. And then you always fall back on things that you've always done well and things that you don't need to change up. So I kind of rely on those by faith. Also, my wife makes sure every morning that as a family we get a Bible verse, out. So I try to start the day, with that and then move on from there. My wife does a great job of making sure we all are still involved with that. But, far as the moral aspect of coaching over the years, my faith has always been, pour into the kids and you'll get your benefits from it later. And, that's one of the things that, I've always lived by. Pour into the kids. Don't make it easy for them. Always there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Those guys that are deficient in something, we can always fix. And, that's one of the things that, that's carried me as a coach, being able to really press on. First of all, finding out each kid, how they think, how they process things, what are their mannerisms, and what can I do to continue to get their strengths strengthened, and then their deficiencies really grow those and strengthen those. That's kind of one of the things that over the years I've always continued to make sure my core value is always try to get the pour the kids.
Well, Sean, like you walk the walk. So I think that there's no greater way of learning than to watch somebody who's modeling it. And just as a husband and a father and a coach, you've just done such a great job. And I'm sure that, these players have just benefited tremendously from that and being able to watch you and your loyalty to UCF. There's, that can be challenging in this day and age with so many people moving around, and just the fact that you've been loyal and so committed to UCF for so many years. I think that's just such a great example, and you're able to show how rewarding that actually can be.
Yeah, we could say the same thing about you, but your loyalty over the years, you've done it more than any other coach here. I consider myself the greatest football assistant coach here. You are the greatest head football coach in UCF history.
Thank you.
Any sport. So you need to be commended for that. All right. What lesson or lessons have your student athletes taught you that made you a better coach? Lesson or lessons?
I would definitely say the power and importance of communication. As I think back to my early years of coaching, when you're a young coach, you see the mistake and you're ready to get it corrected and just move on. And I've definitely learned that sometimes it's not what you're saying in those hard conversations that you have to have sometimes with athletes or young people. It's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. And sometimes taking the time as a coach or as a leader to frame it in such a way that they are able to hear it and not just be defensive and pushing back or waiting to speak or tell their side, but just to be able to present it in a way that they're able to receive it. And so I would say that they've definitely taught me how important it is, just the method of communication. And you learn that through trial and error. I've made lots of mistakes and looked back and said, I could have handled that differently.
And we're both education majors here, so we take that base training and then you incorporate it into dealing with your kids and get the best out of them.
Yeah, coaching is the ultimate teaching job.
That's right, it is.
You coached generations of players. What's the most rewarding part of running into varsity nights that come back years later?
I think the most rewarding for me being here so long, I know them all, it's not just the guys I've coached, it's the guys that's played here over the years. And, obviously I get a chance to get around, those guys because my tenure here, most of them know me personally. We play golf together. We have a group that we play, on the weekends when we do have downtime, and it's a bunch of them there. I get to spend a little bit more time with them, but it's always important for me. This first year, I actually missed the golf tournament because of having to go on the road recruiting, and you just don't know how many calls I got. Coach, where are you? Where are you? Coach Beckton, where are you? So I look forward to, that time of the year, and then also when we bring all the varsity nights back. One of the things for me is rewarding is just to seeing, those guys being successful in their careers, not just football players. When I was in school here, and being around it as a coach and a player over the years, you get to know all their sports they interact with. When Miriam went in the Hall of Fame last year, I was here around when she was actually playing, and congratulated her. It's not just the football aspect of it; it's all sports for me. Being a part of the varsity nights, being able to see the track, being able to see when your team went in the Hall of Fame, the two teams went in the Hall of Fame a few years back. That's important for me. Not just the football aspect, but all the sports. when Ken Leaks went in as a basketball player. That was during my generation. I played a lot of AAU basketball with him, you know, so we have a little bit of history there. But seeing all the other sports go in, Chad Mottola, you know, I'm really friends with all those guys. So, you know, the varsity night means a lot to me because it's not just football; it's all the sports and
As
being
a
around
family
those guys.
reunion,
Yes,
you
yes.
know, and checking in on everybody. And so it's so wonderful to see how everyone's doing afterwards. And you get some great belly laughs too,
Yes,
don't
most
you?
definitely, most definitely.
After everything you've given to UCF, what has UCF given back to you?
You know, I mean, I love UCF. When I think of so I came from a military family. My dad was career Navy and retired in Orlando. So I was one of those kids that was 13 schools in 12 years. And then he retired here, and I graduated high school and came to UCF, and I've never left. So it's kind of like a tale of two different lives, and although it was wonderful having a chance to travel and see so many different places, you know, UCF is where I met my husband. And Alan, you know, was coaching football, and I was learning how to coach the cheerleading team, learning how to become a coach during those same years. And it was just so rewarding to be able to, kind of like what you talked about with you and your son, you know, with Alan and I, be able to work on something that was working together to try and build something. Was just wonderful and so rewarding. And I was a first-generation college graduate, first person in my family to graduate college. And so getting that college education is just so important. I think that the fact that Alan is a first-generation college graduate also, it helped us to just feel so much passion for the importance of education and offering the opportunity for a college degree. So, you know, for me, it's all of that. UCF gave me my start in life. And it's just been an incredible experience. It's given me a community, the varsity nights, the former athletes that come back, having a chance to just remember all of those great memories like you talked about. And it's been a family for my whole family. My parents came to UCF football games. My mother still comes to games today. She's 85, and so it's really been a family affair.
Yeah, very well taken with that. You know, I remember, it just came to my mind, you guys being at Union Park, you and Alan, you know, as teachers over there, and then the hours that you put in at Union Park, and then the hours that you put in at UCF for very little pay back then. I just remember, I know the grind and all the things that you guys put in with the extra hours, and, you know, to see where you as a championship coach, you know, just means a lot for me, knowing that the hard work you put in early on, you know, now you got it in a position where, you know, we can say that we're champions at your sport.
It's just been so great.
Yes.
The climb is all the fun.
That's right.
Thanks. This is a great one.
Uh-oh.
To our knowledge, you are still the only player in NCAA history to score a touchdown 4 different ways in one game. In the moment, did you have any sense that history was unfolding, or were you simply caught up in the excitement of the game?
That was a great game, but it was billed as my last game at the Citrus Bowl, because back then we were 1AA. We had playoffs. We didn't know we were going to make it into the playoffs.
Right.
So it was billed that, okay, this is my last home game, and when I scored the first touchdown, and then I scored the second touchdown.
But
I'm just
tell
like,
me, I think you've got to say how you scored these
well,
touchdowns.
the first touchdown, I can't remember in order, but I think the first one was a reverse pass. I can't remember who I threw it to. It might have been Brett Cooper. The second touchdown was a reverse in the left corner end zone. The third touchdown was a reception where I jumped up over somebody and caught a pass and kind of it's actually on that commemorative portrait that we have, for the varsity night football players.
Yep.
And then the last one, I do remember this one, was a punt return, 60-yard punt return, finish out the game. And, nobody told me until maybe a week later that it was an NCAA record. So it was just a game that I thought I was just having a really good game, and thought it was going to be my last game in the Citrus Bowl. And later on, we ended up getting in the playoffs and going up to beat #1 Youngstown State, and then we did have an opportunity to come back to the Citrus Bowl to play William and Mary in a shootout, and we ended up winning that game also.
Well, people need to remember, Sean Beckton was a rock star. You were on fire that day.
I just was an average guy. Showed up to work every day.
Yeah, that's an incredible accomplishment.
Thank you very much. All right, what's the most meaningful thing a former player has said to you years after leaving UCF?
It would definitely be, that I had made a difference. Mm-hmm. That I've had a handful through the years that have, taken the time to share that being a part of our team, in their opinions, changed their life. Mm-hmm. And, when I look and think about having the opportunity to coach so many people, and to think, and you know those, and Sean, I know you've had this happen too. Mm-hmm. You're recruiting someone and you know what you're recruiting them out of. Right. And, you have an opportunity. It's such a blessing to have the opportunity to really change somebody's life. Mm-hmm. And not only just change their life, in a lot of situations, you're changing a family tree. Mm-hmm. Like you're That's completely right. changing the direction that this young person was born into, or mm-hmm. the situation that they're in when they come to us. And they're going to come away with a college education, mm-hmm. Which is just a huge tool for life. Mm-hmm. And so I think that just knowing that, you've made a difference, mm-hmm. I think that all of us as humans, we want to know that we've somehow helped someone mm-hmm. at some point. Yeah.
I think, for me, growing up in a situation where I didn't have a whole bunch, I was the first one out of my family to have an opportunity to go to college yeah. and graduate. So, being able to change lives, UCF, everything I own currently in my life right now is because of UCF. I tell people that all the time. Yeah. So that reminds me of when the kids come back, they always tell me, Coach, I appreciate all you've done. Even the guys that, not the name guys, Brandon Marshall and those guys always come around. They give me a pat on the back every time they come. But it's the guys that, that really came from backgrounds where they didn't have a bunch, and now you see those guys really excelling and really having fruitful lives. And now they're going to carry on that tradition in their family, and then now their family is going to continue to have a better situation for themselves. So, I look at it as, I got an opportunity at UCF, got my degree, having a successful career. Now my kids, now Sean and Zaria, are also doing. So that basically coming from a situation where we didn't have a bunch. Now we're, in a situation where we're fruitful, and I hope for Sean will be fruitful with his family, where all his kids, hopefully down the road, continue that cycle.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's going to happen.
That's right.
Hall of Fame inductions are often a celebration of a career, but they also become a celebration of people and moments
that shaped you. Did being inducted into the UCF Athletics Hall of Fame allow you to reflect on your UCF journey as both an athlete and a coach differently than you did when you were living it?
Boy, that's a tough question there. You know, one of the things when I think back to the Hall of Fame, you know, induction was, you know, obviously Alan Gooch was the one your husband gave me. I went to Alan because of the mentorship over the years that he gave me. I thought it was be appropriate for him to introduce me back in 2000, you know, to go into the Hall of Fame. You know, I was one of the first football players, me and Giovanetti, who actually went in that same year. You know, it was obviously a very special moment for me. My mom, you know, family being there. I can remember Serrana being there with young Sean in her hand, and you know, that was just a special night. But every year that I go back and see, you know, the Hall of Fame inductions, you know, reminds me of, you know, when I went in the Hall of Fame, the hard work you put in, what you've had to do, you know, to be considered now, because we got years stacked up on upon years now over the years, and you know, you basically have achieved something extra special to be a Hall of Famer here, and you know, I'm just grateful I was one of the first ones, you know, to actually get in, you know, into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you feel this way, just the fact that, you know, your name's being brought up and people are recognizing kind of what we talked about before, which is, you know, a way of saying thank you.
Yes.
You know, thank you, Sean Beckton, for all that you've done for UCF. So I definitely understand that. I know that for me, I think it was certainly very exciting because, you know, not everyone views cheerleading the way that UCF does. I'm just always been really proud that the athletic directors, the leadership, the administration, they've always been very supportive and encouraging, and it's been easy to stay motivated.
Right.
So I was really honored that they would open it up and make sure to include us. And so, yeah, that was really wonderful. And then for me, you know, my dad has passed away, but he was there that night, and it was really awesome.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I remember it like yesterday. What does it mean to you to be a varsity Knight?
So we've just gotten back this summer from a long vacation and went through several different airports, and quite often we'll be wearing UCF gear. And it's just a reminder that, you know, we not only represent the university and this great athletic program here and in Orlando, but, you know, across the nation, across the world. We had so many people that would pass us in an airport and say, "Go Knights." And so I think that, you know, that's just a reminder of how Varsity Knights is growing, all the numbers of former athletes, and just so representing UCF across the country, continuing to do that as a former athlete. And then it just, it's family, you know, and it's so much fun to be able to connect with people that knew you back when.
Yes, right. Well, Varsity Knights now, it used to be the Letterman's Club. I'm really excited about direction of Carlos, Allie, Levy, how well they've transcended the basically Varsity Knights, and really now it started out football, and we've incorporated the entire athletic department. It doesn't, you know, over the years, I know Alan was a big part of starting. A lot of people don't realize that, but Alan, your husband, was a big part of starting the Letterman's Club. We had jackets and all that good stuff, and then it kind of fell off a little bit, and then, you know, we got new new leadership, and we've incorporated the varsity nights. And I know we've become stronger as a group. You know, one of the things that you just said, you know, going into the airports and seeing, you know, people know that UCF brand, you know, whether it's varsity nights or UCF in general, they see that brand. I call us now we're worldwide now. So
Absolutely.
wherever we go, even when I was at Nebraska working for the Cornhuskers, I still would wear my UCF stuff around, and people would know who UCF was all the way in Lincoln, Nebraska, and Omaha, Nebraska.
I tell people all the time, we are so big. If you don't know somebody that's graduated from UCF,
That's right.
you will,
That's right.
because we're just getting bigger and bigger all the
Yeah,
time.
the brand, the logo has really transcended over the years, and we've very proud of, as a former player that started here and coached for them so many years, really excited about where the program is and where we're going with the program.
100%. I'm just seeing your logo. I love that.
That's
It's
the
got
old
the
school.
old school.
Old school
That's
logo.
great.
I love it. I love the branding of all these different logos that we have.
Yeah, it's great.